So I wanted to do a little bit of a video, um, kind of going over um, what a theory of truth is, and I go over at least three main kinds of theories of truth that you might encounter if you're doing any kind of metaphysics or epistemology, and that's those there's metaphysics, epistemology, general ontology, or even philosophy of languages. Those are the few three things with which you will kind of have a concept of truth, which you will have to work with. And when they come to asking you what kind of concept of truth or what truth is, that's what a theory of truth is. Um, a theory of truth in philosophy kind of blankets a lot of the different branches. So that's a big thing. I do have the book in the other room. The book that I'm going to be doing videos about theories of truth out of is called Theories of Truth by Kirkham, Kirkham. So in future videos, I'll have that book with me, and we'll go more in depth into that. Um, but hold on. I just want to go over the three main kinds in this video to sort of give a preface to what a theory of truth is. And again, a theory of truth is asking what truth is, for one thing. What is truth? How do we get towards truth? So if we have we have the metaphysical ontological problem of what truth is and what it means for something to be true. And also, how can we know what truth is? So we have a lot of different ways of cutting at that problem with different questions as to what truth is. And how does truth connect with things like meaning and knowledge and being and stuff like that. So there's a lot of questions there that I would like to sort of unpack in future videos. However, in this video I want to talk about three main ones. First, we have the correspondence theory of truth, the coherence theory of truth, and the pragmatic theory of truth. There are many different kinds of theories blanketing under either those three or a few other different things which are sort of like far-fetched from these three, but those are kind of not the specifics. The exact specifics of these things are not what I'm really after right now. So first, what is the coherence theory of truth? The coherence theory of truth is, or the correspondence theory of truth is what I want to go after first. The correspondence theory of truth is usually is held by a philosopher, a metaphysician, or a epistemologist, or a philosopher of language, which thinks that there is a world there's a realistic, truth-giving world with which we can try to parallel our beliefs or our propositions with. So correspondence, as in that our beliefs or our propositions that we hold for either to be under review or to be believed. They have those propositions or those beliefs, and if those correspond to truth, if those things correspond to reality, if they correspond to reality in a very strong, specific way, if they correspond in a correct way, then those propositions or beliefs can be said to be true. That's a general skeleton sort of way of looking at it. That if our proposition or our belief corresponds to, parallels, aligns with reality, the realistic, objective reality, then that can then be said to be true. And it's possible for one to be a coherentist about truth or knowledge and still believe in some kind of correspondence. So correspondence theories of truth are not just specifically for realists. There are definitely a plethora of different theories which kind of overlap and change things. And so that's kind of the basic skeleton of the correspondence theory of truth. The coherence theory of truth is that there is truth in a proposition or belief if we don't look at it in isolation, but we look at it as to how it coheres within a system of propositions or beliefs. And there's a coherence theory of truth and a coherence theory of knowledge, where it pertains to knowledge as to whether a belief is cohering and dovetailing with other beliefs in the system of beliefs, to where that if it coheres enough and it's consistent with everything else, then it should check out to be knowledge, usually with some other kind of constraints. But truth, the coherence theory of truth is just that truth comes from its coherence and its consistency and its dovetailing and fitting in with all of the other propositions that it stands with some kind of strong relation to. And again, that's both of the ways that I've explained the correspondence and the coherence theory of truth are very cursory and very short, because I don't want to go too deep into it, because I think this is a introductory video. That's the kind of their basic things. Their basic thing. Correspondence theory, it corresponds to reality in some way or another. Coherence, it coheres with other beliefs around it. It relates and fits in and dovetails with the other beliefs around, or the other beliefs or propositions around it, or statements, or whatever you want to say. Thirdly is the pragmatic theory, which the pragmatic theory is one that I'm not as I guess learned in it as I wish I could, as I wish I was. I'm kind of going to go over it a little bit. With pragmatism, we have Peirce, James Dewey. Peirce had his own version, which was called pragmaticism, and William James had a book called Pragmatism, which was very famous, and that's kind of where I think that's part of how the whole philosophy of pragmatism became popular. So we'll talk a little bit about Peirce and Dewey. A pragmatic theory of truth thinks about the concept of truth as for its practical use, and how it can be useful to science. That's a general way of looking at it. And thought doesn't matter, or thought doesn't mirror reality. It's an instrument of or tool for prediction and problem solving. So it's more of a truth as a concept which is not supposed to mirror reality or supposed to do anything other than be helpful for prediction and stuff like that, which has a practical use. They say a pragmatist about truth would say that belief, certainty, and knowledge of truth is the result of inquiry, and reality is a fundamental logical conception. And Peirce specifically said that truth presented as a means to understanding a concept important for the method of science. So that the really real is the really real is the cause of sensations, which is to provide evidence for beliefs about the external world. So Peirce is saying that truth is a concept which is to purport to help science and to help us make inferences about the external world. And I want to read more on this and kind of get more into it and talk about this sort of thing more, because pragmatism is not a philosophy that I've studied that much. I will kind of come out and say that, though. James more simply says that truth is what provides itself as good in the way of belief, and says that ideas become true insofar as they help get us into satisfactory relation with other parts of our experience. And apparently we can make accurate predictions and that's just kind of the whole thing here. It's not about, what a regular metaphysician, a philosopher about metaphysics, is going to try and gear truth about correspondence, or maybe even coherence, but it's not going to be as practical as this is. So, um, if you have any comments about the way I've explained anything, and you want to add something, do so below, please. I would love to hear what you have to say. And I know that my explanation of the pragmatic theory of truth is from reading a book. Actually, it's taken from a book. I can't remember which book it was. I think it was a book about Peirce or about James, but um, I need to get more read into Peirce and James. So, thank you.